Hey there, I'm Andy Craig. Welcome to my channel. For those of you who are new here, I'm passionate about all things Amazon, and as the founder of AdHabit, an Amazon advertising agency, I've had the privilege of working with brands ranging from 8-figure brands all the way to startups, helping them to boost their revenue and profits on the world's largest online marketplace. Today, we're covering the Beginner PPC Masterclass series. In today's video, we're diving deep into the art of PPC optimization, specifically tailored for Amazon brand owners. Whether you're just starting out or looking to fine-tune your campaigns, mastering Amazon PPC optimization is essential for maximizing your advertising return on investment and scaling your sales on Amazon. Join us as we explore effective strategies for optimizing your campaigns, adjusting your bids, and achieving your target ACoS. So let's optimize for success. So just like a lot of my other videos, we're going to start off directly in Amazon to show you exactly where you need to click and how you're going to do this for yourself. So once you're in Amazon, you're going to click here, you're going to go to advertising, jump over to campaign manager. And once we're there, if you haven't already launched your campaigns, go look at the last video. We talked about how to launch campaigns. This is a series of 10 videos here from A to Z. And once we're here, let's go into budget optimization. This is something I recommend to do usually once per week. You can do it every 2 weeks, but make sure you're at least doing some budget optimization on your account and dedicate some time to it. Schedule it in advance so you never miss it. And I recommend to do it on the same day every week. All right, so then we're going to jump into this budgets tab here. So in this budget optimization tag, you're going to see all your campaigns here. Now, one of the first things I do is look for campaigns that may not be in budget, or sometimes I'll just do that on a daily basis to check up on that. Other than that, what I want to do is filter by ACoS. Let's say my target ACoS is 50%. Anything above 50%, I may want to decrease my budgets on those if I'm really trying to get a hold on things. Now, if you're just really looking to scale, you may not want to decrease your budgets at all. Maybe you only want to increase them. So maybe anything under 50%, I want to do that. So what you can do is go filter by, and then you can find ACoS, which I already have open there. And then I could say, less than or equal to 50%, right? That's going to show me all of my campaigns that have less than a 50% ACoS. So the better the ACoS, the more you want to increase. So if it's right around your target, maybe you don't want to increase it all. Maybe I want to drop it down to my really good campaign. Let's say any campaign that's under 30% target ACoS. Now these ones, I may want to start to increase. Now it really depends on the type of campaign it is as well. If it's a ranking campaign, maybe I definitely want to increase it. If it's a branded campaign, I may want to just leave it alone. But keep that in mind. But come through here. Even if you're not running out of budget, I do suggest to increase budgets if they're very small, especially if maybe they're $5, $10 budgets, $20 budgets. We want to get those up to 50, 100, 1,000, right? Just continue to scale them. And this helps to scale your Amazon account by sending the signal to Amazon like, hey, this is a great campaign. Give us as much possible ad spend as you can on these. All right, so what you can do is simply go through and increase your budgets on each. So if you look here, you have this budget, and you can just simply click on the budget, increase it, and then move on with your day. Now, when you're doing this the same day every single week, it allows you to structure it a little bit better and standardize this process. So, there's not a question of when should I optimize my budget. It's the same day every single week, so it's not missed. Or you can simply come through and click on, as many of these as you want. You can click on all of them, and you can do a bulk action to where you could adjust your budget, and you could increase it by a percentage, which is a good way to do it, or you could increase it by a fixed amount. Increase budget by dollar amount. Let's say we want to increase all the budgets by, $20. That's something you could do. Percentage allows it to do it a little bit more math-based, right? You could increase all the budgets that are performing well by 20%. Okay, so this is still a way we optimize budgets at our agency. We do it right here in Campaign Manager. For me, it is the easiest way to do it, okay? And now there's some other secrets I could show you coming up here towards the end of the video on how to really analyze what the budget should be over time. Because right now I'm looking at the last 14 days here. Maybe I want to look at the last 30. Maybe I want to look at the last 7. It really depends on exactly what you're looking for. But this is a good way to do it. You may want to optimize and go last 30 days, last 14, whatever you're looking at. Now, if it's a seasonal product, and let's say you sell them on a certain holiday, a lot of this stuff changes. But let's continue to move on. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is some of the other campaign controls. One of those things is going to be placement. But before I talk about that, we want to get into your campaign settings, because what is really important is this campaign bidding strategy. So what I recommend most is using dynamic bids down only, right? You could also use fixed bids, but if you use dynamic bids up and down, what that'll do is allow Amazon to increase your your bids up to 100%. So it becomes a lot harder to optimize your bids, and it gives Amazon a lot of room to spend a lot more of your money. So if you want the most amount of control, usually you want to do dynamic bids down only. But if you do dynamic bids up and down, you want to make sure you always want to realize that Amazon can double that bid when necessary. And we'll get into that as we talk about optimizing the bids. So dynamic bids down only is the way to go for most campaigns. So keep that in mind. Now, if you use fixed bids, that just means Amazon is going to bid what you put your bid at. They won't decrease it, just so you know that. Now, I'm not going to get into rule-based bidding here. It's a little bit more of an advanced strategy. Now we're just going to cover the basics. So the next thing I want to do is jump into these placement modifiers. What these are is you have top of search, rest of search, and product pages. Now I've spoke about these in some of the other videos, but top of search is you're going to show up at the top of the placement on Amazon. And rest of search, it's just like it says, you're going to show up in the rest of search. Everything that's not top of search in the search results page. Now product pages, it explains itself there. You're going to show up on competitors or possibly your own product pages. Now you're usually going to see a lot more impressions are going to be coming from product pages. There's a lot of ad inventory on those pages. Where top of search is usually going to be the least amount because there's not a lot of ad spots. There's 4 ad spots usually at the top of search results. All right, but you're going to see a very high click-through rate and usually a much higher conversion rate. If we calculated this, looks like it's pretty even between rest of search and top of search if we took orders divided by clicks to get that conversion rate. But majority of the time, you're going to see a higher conversion rate at the top, which means you can usually afford a higher cost per click, that CPC, to be there. All right. So keep an eye on the ROAS, and remember you could add the column of ACoS if you prefer that, which I do. I always want to optimize towards that ACoS. And it also, depends on what the goal of that campaign is. If it's a ranking campaign, you may want to push a lot more top of search. And if you're not performing very well on, say, product pages, you could always lower your bids and really start utilizing these placement modifiers to push your ads where you want them to show up and where you want them to perform. So that's a quick rundown of those. What I do recommend is as you're optimizing these, you do want to, remember what these placement modifiers are. Some people like to put them in the title of their campaigns, just so they always know, but then you have to change it every time you change the modifiers. So that becomes another task that you have to do. So as you're adjusting bids, make sure you know what those modifiers are. So when you're adjusting your bids, your bids don't go higher than you want them to go. All right, because if I put 100% modifier in the top of search here and have $1 bid, that means Amazon can bid up to $2 on the top of search. So you do want to keep that in mind because that cost per click can go a little bit higher, which might bring that ACoS higher than you want it to be. And then when we get into Amazon Campaign Manager, what you want to do is go down to this targeting tab. Now, this is mainly for sponsored products and sponsored display. Usually you can't do a lot of sponsored brand bid adjustments here. Maybe they will add a lot more of these placements in the future. So this is mainly focused on sponsored products and sponsored display here. So as you can see here at the top, I have some filters that are already in here. So what you could start to do is utilize some of these filters. So what I've done is I've created a quick little sheet here on how you should, adjust your bids, right? You want to do it in a structured manner so no bids are left unadjusted. So what I like to do, the first thing I always do is go after targets that have orders, right? So I'm going to go orders. I'm going to go greater than 0. So all of these will have an ACoS because ACoS is ad spend divided by ad sales, and that's going to give that ACoS metrics, times 100%, obviously. So as we come over here, you're going to see the ACoS in these campaigns. So if I go high to low, that's where I always like to start things. I'll start high and go low. So one simple way to do this is using a formula. You have one of the good formulas is revenue per click times target ACoS, and that's where a good way to optimize your bids. Now, it's a lot harder here in Campaign Manager because you'd have to individually, run that formula for each one. We're going to get into how to do that in bulk files shortly here. But you can see right here, we have some pretty high ACoS ones, right? At some point, you may want to set up some rules for pausing ones also, which let's get into that now. So maybe anything over, let's say a 200%, you want to pause it altogether. You want to make sure it's not, taking up a huge chunk of your orders. If it's a high sales driving target, you may want to just decrease the bids. You may not want to drop it, drastically, especially if it's made up a ton of orders for a long time, because that campaign history is important. All right. So let's say everything over 200% ACoS, maybe we want to just go through and pause those. You could individually pause each one, or you can click them all and then do that bulk action where you go ahead and pause. That's one way to do it. And let's say anything underneath, we just want to start optimizing the bids. Now, you're going to use that revenue per click times target ACoS. If you use that, it's going to drastically drop your bid, right? It's going to drop it pretty substantially. Okay, so that's one way to do it. Or you can use an iterative method. That iterative method just means you're slowly lowering your bids. Maybe you want to do a percentage at a time. Like for the super high ones, maybe you want to drop your bids by 60%. As we get down, let's say, you could segment it. Maybe between 200% ACOS and 100% ACOS, we're going to drop it by 60. Maybe between 100% and 70%, we're going to drop our bids by 40. And then between that 70% and 50%, we're going to drop our bids by 20, right? And then let's say anything under 50%, we're going to start increasing our bids. We're going to start, let's scroll down. Let me open this up a little bit. So as you can see, this count has a lot of targets. So this would take a long time here. So we're going to get into some strategies on how to do this a lot quicker with bulk files or some software here in the next couple steps. All right, so you want to go through, set those brackets up, adjust your bids, or you could just use that revenue per click times target ACOS formula. So if we do it on this one here, we have a revenue of $5, right? And we have 11 clicks. So I take that $5.11 divided by 11 clicks times that target ACOS, and that would give me what my new bid should be. And the theory behind that is what it tells me. If my bid was the same with 11 clicks and I got the same amount of orders, that ACOS would be what my target would be, if that makes sense. Okay? So revenue per click times target ACOS is a great formula to go. Iterative method is also great. Those are kind of my two go-tos. Now, it also depends on the goals of the campaign, which is a little bit more advanced strategy we're going to get into in the next video. Okay? So go through, optimize those first. The next thing I want to get into is going to be orders that equal zeros. Now we want to optimize everything that doesn't have an order. And the first thing I want to start with is above a certain amount of clicks. Now, we talked about pausing with, let's say, anything that had over that 200% ACOS. Now, you also may want to pause based on a certain amount of spend or a certain amount of clicks. And for me, for the clicks, it's going to be based on what my conversion rate is. So if you want to know what your conversion rate is, go into that last video where we talked about figuring out your conversion rate. So in most of these videos, I'm just using the generic 10% conversion rate. With a 10% conversion rate, you should get an order every 10 clicks. So we have come up with some rules on where should we pause things, right? So if we had, let's say, 30 clicks and no sales, even if the next click was a sale, we'd have a less than 3% conversion rate. It's actually 33, but anything less than that 30 clicks, we'd have a less than 3% conversion rate. So maybe between, anything under 3%, I want to pause, right? So that would mean anything over that 30 click mark, I'd also want to pause. Now, this also depends on the health of your account. You may want to be more aggressive on pausing, less aggressive, depending on how your total account is performing, how that top quotes number is. A lot of this depends on that. So this is really going to be based on you. What I suggest to do is come up with a rule. How many clicks am I willing to do? How much spend am I willing to have on a keyword? Okay, so go through, you can, once again, click them all, do that bulk action, or go individually, look at the relevancy of the target, look at what the bid is, and then decide at that point if you want to pause it. Because sometimes your bid's going to be just razor thin that you didn't hit the spending threshold either. So you also want to have a click threshold and a spend threshold when pausing things. So you could also say, if I hit 0 orders, but instead of going after clicks, we want to go after high spend, right? And how do you come up with what spend will you allow, right? You could take the same thing. Let's say you sell a $20 product and you don't want to tolerate anything higher than 100% ACOS in that fact. So that would mean anything that's spent over $20, we also want to pause. So use both of those. Use the click threshold, the spend threshold when you're talking about pausing. And those are the basically 3 ways to do it. If you have a high spend, high clicks, or if you have a high ACOS. And those are the pause ones, okay? So after I go through the pause, the next thing we want to look at is decreasing your bids. At what point should you decrease them? So after we get through all the pause ones, let's say I want to go everything under 30 clicks or under a certain amount of spend. So then you pause them, then you want to start to go through and decrease your bids. Now you could just decrease them iteratively. So you could say, okay, this one has a lot of clicks. Maybe I want to decrease it by 40%, 50%, whatever it is. Then as you get further down, you want to decrease it by less and less as you get the less amount of clicks. Now, another good formula is taking your selling price times your target ACOS divided by your clicks, and that's going to lower your bids in a certain way that really helps to get them down. So if you prefer to use formulas, use it that way. If you want to use an iterative method, it's going to bring you closer to your goals, but it's going to work a little bit slower. But if you don't want to sacrifice your sales to get there, iterative method is a good way to do it. It just might take a little bit longer to get your ACOS under control. And once again, we want to use your conversion rate to decide on that. So if I go with a 10% conversion rate, maybe anything between, say, that 30 clicks and 20 clicks, maybe I want to decrease it by 50%, bring my bid down by 50%. Maybe anything between maybe 20 clicks and 15 clicks, we want to bring it down by 40%. Anything between 15 clicks and then a 10 click mark, maybe we want to drop our bid by 20 or 30%, right? You can use that iterative method. I think that's a great way to do it, or use that formula that I spoke about a minute ago. And now we're getting under our average conversion rate, right? Once we get under that 10 clicks per order, we don't know if we're going to hit that conversion rate that we're used to of that 10%. So at that point, we may want to just leave them alone. Maybe anything between 10 clicks and 6 clicks, we just leave the bid alone. Or, you can increase it, right? You can increase your bid to try to drive some more traffic towards that keyword. And another good way to do it is also look at that top of search impression share. Your bid may be too low to really show up at the top of search a lot. So in that case, if it is a keyword that you want to show up at the top a little bit more, increasing your bids might help, but also utilizing those placement modifiers to increase the bids towards the top of search can help out a lot as well. So now we want to talk about increasing your bids. We talked about decreasing that, cutting back some of that wasted spend, allowing these to get more clicks, to get some orders. Hopefully once you get an order, now you can optimize it based on that ACoS. But let's say we get less than that 6 clicks. One thing you could do now is you could just run a filter. You can go by clicks. You could say less than or equal to, let's say we're going to use that 6, right? So in this case, we could go through and possibly start to increase our bids because we only got 6. Maybe you want to leave these alone still, but you want to come up with all these rules. I'm not saying there's a one size fits all rule to do this, but you need to come up with the rules, stick to them, and optimize them the same way. It's like doing it a little bit more scientifically. And then if that's not working, change up your rules a little bit, okay? But let's say the 6 clicks, maybe we want to increase our bids, but also depending on the spend. So we could also throw in a spend limit here. Now, as you're going through these as well, you could also always save your filters. So you don't have to do these filters every single time. You could say, okay, this filter is for orders equals 0. And then you could say less than 6 clicks, less than or equal to, right? But I don't have the button on my keyboard to do less than or equal to. So you can do that, you can apply it, and then you can continue to come back to that same filter every single time. So this makes your job a lot easier, saves you some time, okay? So what you might also want to do, we talked about things with already low bids. Maybe we didn't spend a lot here. You could also put in a spend filter to say, okay, if it is less than the X amount of spend as well, we can increase them. So maybe we want to go through and do a slight increase, maybe 20%, 10%. Maybe we want to use that formula that I spoke about a minute ago, okay? So go through, you want to increase all those or possibly decrease them depending on where your account is at, but just set up these rules. All right, let's say we decided anything that's less than 6 clicks, we just want to decrease the bids. You're going to do the same. You're going to slowly decrease them. Maybe once we get to under 3 clicks or so, then we may want to increase them because they're not getting enough traffic at this point, right? So anything from 1 click to 3 clicks, we want to increase the bids. Then we get into the range of what about things without clicks, right? Then we're going to change this. We're going to say equals 0, right? We want to go through clicks equals 0. So now here, let's say we could now filter by impressions. So things with a lot of impressions but no clicks, maybe just leave the bid alone there because we know we're getting a lot of impressions. You may want to try to diagnose why you're not getting any clicks, especially if it's a super relevant target. So as we're going through here, you can see a lot of them have quite a bit of impressions. So what we might want to do is just leave those bids alone because we're getting a lot of impressions. We're not getting the clicks. Maybe they're super broad targets. Maybe they're auto campaigns, things like that. But what we do want to do is go into the filters and possibly add another one by impressions. Maybe every single time you could say less than or equal to, let's say 300 impressions. Anything less than that, now we want to increase our bids. We're getting impressions, we're not getting clicks. Let's try to get some more impressions. So we want to go through and increase our bids here. So this basically is going to cover, almost all situations with your targets. You're going to optimize everything with orders, everything with clicks. Then you're going to optimize everything without. And that basically is going to cover the whole thing. You could, do it quicker by using these bulk actions or do it one at a time and determine what the bid should possibly be. So the last thing I want to do here as well is keywords that aren't getting impressions. Why is this not working for me? Right? You could also run one that says less than. Maybe it's the same 300, or maybe you could do 100, and maybe you could do 50, right? And then you want to figure out, where do I have a high bid? If I have a high bid on something and I'm still not getting the traffic I want, At this point, I would pause these targets and then relaunch them into new campaigns. Because as you're optimizing all these things, as you're taking the ones with not a lot of traffic, not a lot of clicks, and increasing the bids, eventually you're going to hit a max bid. Now, what I suggest on your account is set a bid cap. And what bid am I comfortable with? Once I hit that bid cap and I'm still not getting the impressions, the clicks that I want, go through and pause all those targets and then relaunch them into new campaigns. Now, this is not something you have to do every week, but maybe every couple weeks, once a month, go through and run this operation. Now, what you can also do is just keep increasing them until you hit your max bid, run another filter, just say bid equals, like the $4 here. And at this point, I'm gonna go ahead and pause all those and relaunch them into new campaigns. Now, this is not gonna hurt your account at all because these targets weren't doing anything anyways. What we don't want targets that don't have data, right? What we want with PPC is we want it to give us the data so we can make the right decisions. These ones don't have data, so let's try to get them some, pause it, relaunch it. Now, maybe you want to try a different bidding strategy. Maybe you want to try dynamic bids up and down or possibly fixed bids to try to drive some traffic to these targets that aren't working for you. Now, the next thing I want to get into, I hope, this campaign manager optimization pretty well. I got tons of other videos on it. So go take a look at some of the old ones. I go a little bit more in depth, so in this video, I want to kind of get through this to not make it too long for you. Next thing we want to get into is bulk files, right? Now, I'm not going to go too in depth because I made a bunch of videos on this, but if you go into sponsored ads and you go to bulk operations, you're going to see here. And what you could do is you could download this. As you see, there's a bunch of them here. You could download them into spreadsheet files and then upload it. Now, you could do this for bid optimization, for renaming your campaigns, optimizing your budgets, your placements, your bidding strategies. You could add negative keywords. You can create campaigns. You could pause campaigns. You can do everything, right? Everything you could do in Campaign Manager, you could do it a bulk file, and you could do it a lot faster. So if you like Excel, if you like spreadsheets, or you just want to learn them, utilizing Amazon bulk files is a great way to go. Now, they're going to default to yesterday. What I suggest is grab them the last 14 days, the last 30 days. And usually I might even ignore the last couple, right? Because the last couple days, the data might really not be here yet. So maybe you want to go 14th to 15th instead of just doing the last couple days, right? You can download that over the last 30 days. What I like to do is show campaign items with 0 impressions. Don't show terminated. Give me my placement data. Give me all my sponsored products, sponsored brands, sponsored display. And Amazon has started to roll out, actually getting your search term reports directly in here, which also saves you a lot of time. Okay, so download this file. You're going to be able to optimize your bids and then re-upload the file through here. And it's going to optimize all your bids for you directly from that spreadsheet into Amazon, and it'll take effect immediately. It's a great way to do it. And if you think PPC is taking you a lot of time, mastering bulk files is a great way to do it, right? I'm not going to go in depth. Go look into some of my other videos. We have a ton on bulk file optimization. And if you want to learn a little bit more outside of just my videos, Amazon has tons of documentation on it. So if you go visit this bulk sheet portal, you're going to see this. They're going to walk you through step by step, how these spreadsheets work, what you need to do, right? They're going to give you examples of exactly how to do this stuff. You're going to see, there's an operation column. Every time you're updating something, you just put update. Every time you're creating a campaign or ad group or, everything, you're going to put the word create in there. And that's going to help you do that, right? And there's going to be archive. If you want to archive a campaign, an ad group, an ad, a target, you could archive it, right? Tons of good information on here. Definitely watch the video tutorials. It's a wealth of information. So if you want to get good at bulk files, watch this stuff, watch a ton of videos. There's a ton of other creators on YouTube as well that are very good at this. Right, the next thing we want to get into is utilizing software. Now, some of these softwares can really help you to do this, and they've kind of structured it to make it a lot easier on you, kind of like this video showing you step by step along the way. One of my go-to ones is FBA Excel, which is a Google Sheets program. It's a Google Sheet, but it has automated scripts in here. These are like macros in Excel. These are scripts that automate a lot of this process for you. Once you download those reports and download your bulk file, you're able to import them directly in here and start running, some of the tools that they have pre-built in here. I'm not going to go too in depth, but as you go through, you could just optimize your bids. And what is really nice is you can actually create rules. You could say, if this, then that, right? If, my target matches what's in yellow here, do this to the bid, increase it by 15 cents, decrease it by this. You could run formulas, right? We have that revenue per click times targeted cost that's built directly in here. You can modify your bids, modify your CPCs, You can do it on certain ad types and match types or across your entire account. This is definitely a very powerful tool. And, Brett at FBA Excel gives you some pre-built rules in here to run it, right? And you can build these out, a ton of them. You can have hundreds of rules in here built out for every one of your products, every one of your targets even, if that's how you want to do things, right? It's going to increase your bids, decrease your bids, optimize them based on that formula. There's tons of other ways to do it in here. And it's really great. You could optimize your budgets, your bids, your top of search, your rest of search. You have to optimize everything directly in here. And instead of a click of a button, once you build out these rules, it'll do it for you. All you have to do is run the rules, and then you can go ahead and export the file, upload it to Amazon. You could do this in 30 minutes, right? Even less than that if you just do a quick one. Okay. Now, what I do, my team actually builds this out for people. If people want to learn it themselves, we build it out for them. If they want us to do it for them and manage their PPC, that's what we do, right? We do it every single day. We've been doing it for years now. So if you are interested in training on this or someone doing it for you, just let me know and I'm happy to jump on a call and walk you through it. All right, so we're going to move on. A lot of great tools in here, launching campaigns, analyzing everything, analyzing all of your campaigns, your targets. Like this tool is amazing, guys. And it's one of the, things that have really helped my PPC over the years. Now, if you don't want to do all that manual work and download the reports and do everything, and if you don't like spreadsheets, there's a lot of other softwares out there that run through Amazon's API. So it pulls all the data directly from Amazon and then sends the data to Amazon and does it for you, just with a click of a button in the PPC software. One of my favorite ones is right here. This is called Scale Insights. Now, this is an old demo account, so they've changed the display a little bit here. But basically in here, not only can you automate things, you could actually set up a lot of those rules to say, just like with, ad tactics here, you could set up rules just like this and have it automatically do it, right? It's going to pull directly from Amazon, look at your data. You could say, okay, you can create a bidding rule. As you can see, there's some here. Let's go bidding rules. And you could say, okay, if I have above a 45% A cost, decrease it by 11%. Don't, increase my bid above 250. Like there's tons of different ways to do it in here. You could run that revenue per click times target A cost formula, which they have built into here. It's an amazing tool that just automates everything. Now, this has been super popular. My team, we've been training people on how to use this, setting this up in their accounts, and it works amazing, right? This is a great tool, especially if you want to be hands-off, but still learn to track everything and analyze. Now, I went over in the last video, like tracking your goals and setting up all that. They're also going to do that for you in here. It's going to pull in all your data, tell you exactly what your sales are, your profits, all the data that you may want. We not only, they have it in here, we train you on how to use it if that's something you're interested in, or just use the tool. It's an amazing tool. There's a link in the description below. Feel free to grab that. And the one thing that's nice as well is as you're going through the tool, as it's automated a lot of this stuff for you, there's going to be a change log so you can keep track of what bid changes happen. You could actually launch campaigns directly from here, add negatives directly from here. A ton of other rules. You could optimize your budgets, your bids, your placements automatically through here. It's an amazing tool. Let me know if you've used it before in the comments, and let me know if you need some help with it. And there's a lot of other amazing tools out there. There's the Helium 10 Atomic, there's IntentWise, there's PackView, there's Ad Badger, there's PPC Ninja. Tons of great tools. It's hard to learn all of them. And this is the one I found, this is the one I like, and this is the one I specialize in. All right, so I hope this has been super helpful. Let me know if you want me to go more in depth. We're going to create another series that's a little more advanced, where we dive deeper into each one of these different tools. So congratulations on completing the PPC optimization tutorial. By implementing these strategies, you're equipped to take your Amazon advertising to the next level. Remember to regularly monitor your campaigns, adjust your bids strategically, and leverage tools like Campaign Manager, bulk files, and PPC software to maximize your impact of your advertising. So stay tuned for our next video, where we'll delve deep into advanced techniques for scaling your PPC campaigns. But don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. I know that's a cheesy thing to say, but it really helps me to get my views up, to get more people to see this knowledge that I'm sharing. Hopefully you found it super helpful, and happy optimizing. I'll see you in the next video of the series where we talk about scaling up your PPC.